It doesn't matter where you point the camera if what you're pointing it at looks like shit.
Yeah, let me get a dirty hero.
What brings you to this neck of the woods?
My husband, he's a photographer.
All right.
Today I'm going to show you how to improve your production design on a real world budget using my sci-fi horror film Dirty Halos and what I've learned over 10 years in art direction. I'm going to go through the systems, rules, and resources that I use on my projects, and hopefully it'll give you some stuff to carry forward to your next project. The thing that I think should happen first on any production design project, whether it be something that you're making for yourself or you're doing production design for other people, I think is to set clear rules at the beginning. That could be patterns, textures, it could be how you're going to approach a time period, a lot of different things. But I think the most important thing is just to have a vision of what you want the production design to feel like, what you want it to convey. And these things will go such a long way of making sure as you go through the designing process that you don't find yourself on these huge tangents that don't actually matter to the story. The most important thing is conveying the story. So I think setting up those clear rules at the beginning makes it so that you're able to properly go into each scene and have at least a strategy that you're building on from the beginning. I think two great examples of this are Zodiac and Marty Supreme, which are both period films, which means it could be very easy to go down these huge rabbit holes of making sure that everything's period accurate. And don't get me wrong, I think both films did a great job of like conveying, the little I know, conveying the period. But like when you look at them, they both feel very much designed, whether it be from the signs that they made sure to replace on both movies, or even the color yellow in Zodiac. I'm fascinated by the use of like color theory. I just think it's one of those things that you don't consciously notice, but subconsciously the colors, the palettes, like everything chosen just really seeps into your subconscious. And I think that it just goes from the rules they said at the beginning, whether it be like a certain yellow in Zodiac. Yellow by itself probably comes off as like a happy color, but then the way it's used in Zodiac and the scenes that they choose to use it and the prominence of the yellow makes it almost feel like a decaying yellow, like a nasty nicotine covered yellow. And so that's just a very specific rule that you could tell that they had around the use of yellow with that movie. And I think implementing rules like that is the quickest way to make everything feel way more designed. Next is to focus on the big shapes first, which can mean multiple things. Basically, whatever's most important to telling the story, focus on that. And things that no one's going to see, like something that's going to be in the background, doesn't have to be perfectly designed. And if you're only going to see it for just a second, you can get away with a ton of different stuff. Like even if it's like printing pictures of the location on a poster board and then using that as a background. I know they did that for certain shots in Marty Supreme that they couldn't get access to certain sets. And so if you're only going to see it for one shot or a certain angle, it doesn't make sense to invest a ton of time and energy into something that's not going to be important to the story. Next is design for the frame, not the location. So basically, decide what the camera is going to see and then only stick to that. A big part of this that can help is just even piecing together different locations to make it seem like there's the same location if you can't find something that you really like. Like we had to find a different bar interior and exterior because we couldn't find anything that looked like it was on the outskirts of a city, which was important for the story. So we ended up using Pinpoint in Fayetteville for the main interior bar scenes, and then we used a juice bar for the exterior scenes, and then just did a lot of VFX afterwards. Next is to use post-production as production design, which basically just means we can VFX shit now fairly easily. And so if you're really having trouble getting a certain location or a certain design aesthetic, I think doing things in post can definitely help a lot. Obviously, there's a downside to this. I spent way too long in post-production on Dirty Halos, but I think if you just can't get access to something, like we kept running into, we couldn't get access to a hospital, but what we did have was a community center. And so we just spent a little bit of time VFXing that to make it feel more like a hospital, which we didn't quite get there. I think if you're not paying attention too much and you squint, maybe it looks like a hospital, but my point still stands of like, if you really just can't get access to something or it's just way too expensive for something, just VFX it. Like Photoshop generative fill. Things are so much better nowadays that if you have the technical knowledge, it's a lot easier to get something that feels very much produced. Like on the Helldivers fan film that I worked on by Harrison Jones, we only had access to a construction site and didn't have access to hardly any of the actual like ship material. Like so much of that stuff would have been so intense to build production design wise. So it just made sense to do 90% of it VFX. But we did do as much as possible that would like come into very close contact with them, or at least give us something to like block the shadows and stuff like that. So use post-production as production design. Next, related to that, is to upgrade cheap stuff. I think the easiest way to make stuff look very designed is to like get stuff off Amazon or Walmart, or even just things you can find in a thrift store, and then just slightly edit them or paint them or wear them down, just something to make it seem more like it belongs in the story. Which a pet peeve of mine is people getting props off Amazon and then everything just looks brand new and they set it down. Even if you just like have to break something or make it look like it's been super worn, I think that is going to help a ton to making it feel way more intentional. And lastly is you're only as good as your references, which can come from a ton of different places. Some of my favorite resources are Pinterest, which people had voted on, but I really like it. Finding references from other movies, which you can find a lot of good screenshots on ShotDeck and FrameSet. And then my last favorite is just art books, which you can find a lot of like good old photographs or even just design patterns and stuff like that, which I could talk all day just about art books. So I'll leave a link to the video where I talk about my 5 favorite art books. But references can really come from anywhere. It's just one of those things where you go out and you're living in the world, and I find myself like snapping pictures all the time of just random stuff. I think with references, it's one of those things that the more specific you can get, the better. Because although I do think that looking at other movies is good, you don't want to make something that just looks like a cliche of what you're trying to convey. So if you have a period Western, well, you don't want it to look like the cliche version of what a Western looks like. So you don't want to just go on Pinterest or look at other movies and just try to copy that. You actually want to go back and try to look at real photographs and stuff like that to really get a very, very specific idea of the exact type of story that you're wanting to tell. Really, as any head of department on a film set or on a commercial set, you're only as good as your taste. And so I really think curating the exact references and style that you're going for each specific project, and building that from the ground up so it doesn't look like exactly like the last thing you did and you're just kind of leaning on your natural taste. I think building out your taste is really important so that you have a large palette to work with, so it doesn't just feel like everything you do is the same. So that's my approach to production design. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter exactly what the budget is. It just matters about how creative and how aligned you're able to get with the story that you're trying to tell. There's never going to be enough money. You're never going to have the perfect locations. So it's all about just having the vision of being able to make the most out of what you have and be able to see how all the pieces can come together in just a certain way to convey the story as authentically as possible. Hopefully this gives you some things to think about and hopefully some tools to take on your next project. And yeah, I appreciate you watching and have a good day.